You see, this one's the real friend here. This one's a poser friend. Do you see an agenda at her man? They're supposed to be celebrating all together, but this one is the only one that's kind of like engaged in the celebration, whereas this one is pretending to be a part of it, yet her eyes are driven elsewhere. You see, her raised cup is to kind of trigger, like to motion someone like, hey, you know. Obviously the body language, what it says. And they're holding hands here. So there's an element of this person trying to be friends with her in order to vouch as being part of the pack. Interesting. She's the one that actually wants to get married. Do you see her pink? Your eyes trail, not just to this essence of the pink in the sky. It's all about her, like it's all about her. And you see here how it trails along the cake. She was wishing, she was desiring it for it to be her cake. Oh, snap.
I realized who this person was right after filming. She's the kind of friend that keeps her perceived enemies closer as some psychological method to not get caught. Now, I share this with you to beware and to follow your intuition because, remember, there are those who stage their impression and act when the curtain is closed. In the past, I've entertained other public readings, but honestly, while it was helpful to gain peace of mind through detailed confirmation on my gut feelings, it's useless to ruminate on this negativity. You'll see why in a bit.
I don't understand. She is actually acquainted more with the ground. So there's one that's not so good for her, and the other
isn't so good either. Looking back, I know who these people represent in my life while searching for my soul tribe. I idealized them according to their potential, ignoring my gut instincts when they displayed questionable activity. Everything was passive-aggressive for the girl in pink, and for the other, just misleading and very materialistic. Both, though, were meant to enter my life to show specific parts of me that needed to look beyond these inner concepts the inner critic likes to indulge in, to cease the cycles of passing the buck to another unsuspecting party. This is what the divine considers interdependent alchemy. It was a very important part of my journey, having to really commit to myself, to be practical about the twin flame, aKin flame journey, because we are meant to discern the pieces of ourselves that are hardest to see. The bond has to be strengthened within to be equipped for the real deal.
Yeah.
If you caught my Instagram post, it had something to do with having to Marie Kondo my life.
Exercise discernment, because this person, you can see that there's a blonde streak in her hair. So I'd say that there's of kin, maybe the same soul tribe. The blonde in her hair matches more of hers than hers. So there might be some kind of a dark streak within her as well that resembles part of that energy. That's interesting. That's very interesting. These are two different suits, but when you look at the ground, it still continues on to here as part of the whole picture, the whole scene. And yet again, she wants to be dominating it. Even though she, you see the colors, the print of it, resembles the abundance in the middle. Really what's being showcased here.
So she gets to celebrate her achievements irregardless of who surrounds her.
So one's good for her, one's not so good.
Both are good for karmic lessons, though.
I think that's the case for many in life, yeah? We come to find out who are the right ones and who are the ones that only belong very temporarily in our lives. Alright, Spirit. There we go, that one. We have the Glory of Cups in reverse.
This font is hard to read, especially in the dark. It's the Glory, or Queen of Cups. And when reversed, the inner retreat is needed to identify with and or reclaim her power. It means that she's been giving too much of herself and has fostered or enabled codependent bonds. These three characters may exhibit the same energy as this image of a clique would imply, codependent relationships in group form.
So we don't have to stick to females as cornerstones. If you're caught in some kind of love triangle, when I say love triangle, I'm saying at an intimate state. It doesn't have to be anything sexually related, because there's a lot of gossip going on, and I don't want to feed into that. I think that's ridiculous. If we were to present this as male energies alongside of her, that one is pretending to be the part and one actually is the part as far as engagement goes.
Though they all carry shadows within.
What else do you want to convey? Oh wow, oh my gosh. Transformation. Igor. He's walking up the steps. He's at a turning point. He's reached the top, ascension, almost like a mezzanine, the part to the next flight of stairs, that stopping point. So there's a connection to the divine. It's almost eerie, like very unfamiliar. He's creeping along. Whoever this is, whether it's you or someone that you know, in this transformative process, and they'd have to deal with that dark energy. Recognize that you are in some part of the shadow, that the shadow doesn't always leak beneath you, that it's within you. Okay, so that's number 13. Numerology suits down to 4 again.
It's all about ownership of establishing
Anything else,
stability or laying foundations.
This is very interesting. I'll just get maybe one more card out. Oh, that's the one. Oh, it's this guy again. I was just thinking of this, but I didn't want to dig through the deck about the black cloak. And this came in upright now. So if you are embodying this energy in that turning point of the next phase of ascension, then you're in the right place, because now you've turned up that Fool energy and you're within that balancing act. And it's going to fluctuate which one is holding more weight than the other. But the important thing to do as the master of that, to be the magician of this balancing act within this dark energy, is not to doom yourself and mimic the face of defeat. But, you know, it's fine to have that uncertainty. It's normal. You're still aware that hat has now turned into not like a dunce cap, like a fool, but a magician. Wow, that's cool. I feel like there's one more spirit. Okay, it's this one. It's the 7 of Swords. So there is deceit on some level. There may be children involved. Or there's the inner child going on a boat. There might be some conflict with a mother figure and disagreement. And there's fertility and abundance within this setting here, to jump into that inner child energy, that they're on the same boat together as far as embodying that energy. Because what we see here is like the poltergeist. That guy that came in, he's like the scariest thing. If you were to see that in real life, poltergeist guy who comes in preaching of love, advertising as something else, some spiritualist, some position of authority. You see what he's holding here, like the bells. If those are lights and lanterns, or some kind of illuminating device, that's 5 of Wands. That's conflict. That's the struggle. That's competition. So this guy is the hidden obstacle. Yeah, and then there are some people in between the picture that you have to almost obstacle course through. You have to go through, oh my gosh, this is the path of deceit. How you will stand in the face of others. So Spirit tells me that I need to focus more on the locality of my relationships and pull back on that reach towards others, ground those energies within my own space. And that is like street cred before you head out into the community to earn that recognition. And not just that, not just in the eyes of others, but to be practical, really, about your resources. So you go through this, like this realm of presentation of love and spirituality, and this Hierophant energy that's abusive in its own space. Before you even step out the door, it's a patio. So he's kind of lingering over, energy vampiring it. Like you can't even get out the door. So that's your main boss, basically, when you are trying to defeat different levels in gaming. The boss, instead of it coming last, it comes first. And it might be different for each of you. After that, then we have this, the mom or the grandma or some authoritative matronly figure who comes in as like the foundation of home that you have to face with a certain amount of truth, but exercise caution, because this person has like an older time intellect. You have to have compassion for this person, that exercise and unwielding compassion for you, raising you, teaching you right from wrong. That is Empress energy in a crone aspect. Her time is kind of over, so she's wilted that Empress energy, and now she is crone. Now don't get too technical. I'm trying to speak of the energies in its dominant form. She's older, but she's kind of stuck in her ways. I feel like an Empress is a lot more resilient, yes? And then passing by the people that are just kind of drifting about. This is often our friend base, or even passerbys within the Matrix that are just like NPCs, or non-player characters. They're kind of just part of the scene and call to combat if you engage, but there's no real interaction other than surface level. So you have that Two of Wands energy just falling asleep at the wheel.
At least embedded in this context.
Yeah, that's what it feels like. It feels like that's the path of honoring this union, which is endgame. So not so much as escape, but
more of a rescue.
Leading on to calmer waters, like that Six of Swords energy, the hiatus on the boat. The seventh one would be deceit. So it's treading through this pathway.
This also means that we need to be careful during transitions of where we stand and where we land.
To get to this true healing energy without all the noise, but you have to get through all of this first. That's good. That's really good. Okay. So I think that's it. Now the true bottom of the deck is the Power of Pentacles. That's the King of Pentacles, but it's in reverse. The King of Pentacles is known to be independent, financially sound, powerful and generous, and able to ground his manifesting energies into business pursuits.
I'm wondering what that means for me while trying to cast aside doubt, contemplating on facts rather than opinions. Then on a larger scale, I'm wondering what that means for the energy outside of me that I'm attracting.
He's suited up. He matches his domain.
But that's all in upright. It reaffirmed imbalanced investments both on a public and intimate setting, becoming a workaholic and giving too much time and weight to peers who didn't value me equally. The time to retreat was warranted to wield the power of the upright version of this character. So when we entertain this energy, we blindside ourselves to a wiser route of our highest path. Such an energy can both imply and insist doubt within our world.
Why is he in reverse?
So it turns out I was meant to sit on this reading until I could better understand what this figure meant, as the Knight of Pentacles kept showing up trying to front this king energy in my readings. While it may be of mind, it wasn't done wholeheartedly. There's motion to charge, but without the ownership of a king. And with more focus on my part, I could see what was an open door to take accountability, as this Ace of Pentacles depicts in the king's hand. I treated my endeavors like myself, deemed as worthy and strong enough to stand alone, because when we do it for ourselves, we are already convinced, and there's no need to convince others. We do it simply because we know it's worthwhile doing it. Thus, we stabilize this Knight energy to ground his or her potential to a more regal presence.
He's established, and he has help from the divine.
Finding the intrinsic value in the autonomy of our own hands.
He does things by the book. Oh my gosh. It's a man of structure, but it's in reversal, so there's some kind of manipulation with money, with an offering. Beware. Remember that this is a general reading, okay? So you'll know whether or not it applies.
Because imbalanced investments involve unwise or impractical decisions and approaches. For me, I renounce the sugar daddy energy that kept trying to find its way to me.
And if not, that just means you need to be more in tune. If you're tuned out, you kind of miss out on a lot of information.
Sometimes it means tuning into the wrong details.
So I would say around the springtime is when the balancing act is going to be on lock. Turn right back up. And all of this is due Let's look back at this again. And then fall. Oh my gosh.
And taking a few steps back to see which ones we've taken are a great way to re-gauge, just as though we've lost something and are retracing our steps to find it. Doing a personal recap, we can find the budding blessings.
There is love. Okay, there's a feeling, a strong feeling of love, but there's also major obstacles that one must face, and it is still in process, even though it is fall. Now, the prospective time in order to express this was supposed to be in the fall season, but now it's not looking as helpful. So we'll just give spring a break. So we'll just say 2 seasons later, it's still in reversal. So there's something up with that. I think the transition, the learning curve has broadened a bit, and that's fine. Because what after that is the Six of Wands, which is real victory.
Notice how the balancing act of even Lucy's antics are both stabilized and honored, like both a champ and warrior. That it does take action with continuous takes to get it right. The Four in the audience remains on this journey with her. She's never truly alone because her energy is universal, so they complete this cycle together.
So I think you just need to push through whatever it is. Like, if you're on that boat, that inner child boat of balancing between your feminine and masculine, the inner child youthful aspects as well, then it will lead to this victory. That even though things might feel stagnant, just to keep going because you got that far anyhow, which puts you off in a better position. With all of this effort, you have actively co-created, you've manifested something better off for yourself, despite all the hardships that you're going through right now or that you've been through. And you're just like at that turning point, that corner. And then after is the Wheel of Fortune. See, it's in your favor. And so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4 Charlie Chaplins here.
That's the hidden Four of Wands energy, personal satisfaction in making it happen.
That's cool. And there's a lot of love and abundance within that in all seasons. This is like long-term love. And you're the conductor, you're the one steering the train. Okay, I think that's enough for now. Because the rest tells a story. I think we need to just get through one thing at a time. And sometimes looking at the whole picture is not just looking at the end game. It's more like an overview of what the whole picture is to look like, and then be happy with its highlights, or shift a few things in order to accentuate different aspects. And it all comes down to something being divinely guided, though. You only have so much control, but it shouldn't cause you to relinquish control, discourage you from trying and pushing through. It's so easy to give up. I understand. I understand that almost daily these days. And I know I don't share too much with you, but one day I will. In the meantime, it's just let out in little spurts. Well, I've been through those energies and I've digested them. I'm not going to dig up the dead right now.
Because doing it has to be done with purposeful intent and when ready.
It's difficult. I don't think you understand. I believe I could help you understand. But I have to let that organically happen. So if I hit a wrinkle, that kind of conjures up that feeling of not just defeat, but like the Ten of Swords. Almost like you surrendered to the defeat. And it's almost like a suicidal response to the world. So yeah, I think one day it'll happen. I'm not going to accentuate that in my life for a reappearance. But I do know the reality that, sometimes we forget our lessons and then we have to repeat them, maybe on a smaller scale. So anyway, I think that was it for the day. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for listening in, and hopefully you got something out of that. Have a great day. Okay, bye.